Before we start the show, we just want to let you know that we're part of the Bard Rock Network, sponsored by Dragon Master Games. Dragon Master Games is a local game store with an online storefront where you can get TTRPG products and collectibles, including trading cards. Just go to their website in the show notes and write in the comments that Bard Rock Network sent you. You can also support the network by subscribing to our Patreon or Ko-fi to access network-wide bonus content, get shout-outs on network shows, receive network swag, and even get invited to our several annual community game nights. Anyway, on with the show.
Welcome to College of Whispers, the actual play book club. I'm Marty, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Vicky.
Hello!
Welcome back. We took last month off, so we're back from vacation, and we're here talking to our friends at Dice Company. Today we have the DM, Tom, and Dave, one of the players.
Hello there.
Hello.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to come see us. If you'll indulge us a moment, we'll tell the people about your show.
What we've learned.
So, Dice Company is a D&D 5th edition actual play with an original premiere date of July 23rd, 2023, an average runtime of 1 hour and 17 minutes, and at the time of this recording, they have 33 episodes, and they release weekly. The cast is Tom as the DM, Alex as Augustus the Wandering Paladin, Dave as Benny Quez, Harry as Talk, and Charlie as Vander Finnick. I guess our first question that we ask everybody is, what made you guys decide to get started on a podcast?
That's a very good question. I think like
Tom
all
made
people-
us. Is the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I made everyone basically.
Strapped you guys down to a chair and said, "For 20
Yes.
minutes."
But I think the truth is I got into Dungeons and Dragons late. I've played TTRPGs for years, but I didn't get into it until about 2 years ago now. And I set up a couple of games, like a West Marches style campaign with two groups. And while I was playing with this particular group, Dave and Charlie, in character, got into a 3-minute argument. And I was sat there watching them argue in character, and I was thinking, wow, this is fantastic. And then they stopped, and I realized that I had to do something because I was the DM. And I thought, oh God, okay. And so the next week, I took my phone and I recorded the session because we play over Zoom. I recorded it on my phone and I edited it to show them how good it could be if we decided to pursue that. And they all agreed.
Nice. No strong arming involved.
Yeah, that's broadly how it goes.
Because I did listen to the how it all began, the episode that you released, and it you made all the players made it sound like there was a little bit of strong arming involved, but I don't think there was.
I think there's a running joke that I just announce things on the podcast that we're going to do before I tell them what we're going to do, and they then have to do it because it's out there.
They find out at the same time as everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's outrageous. It's not true.
I
Is it
love
Dave? Is it Dave?
It's not 100% true. No.
I love it. I just loved listening to that episode because it sounds like you're all really good friends before you even started doing the TTRPGs and the Warhammer and everything else that was like, so it kind of came organically as how you all landed on how you became the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of us grew up together. We became friends at different points in our lives. We all have very similar origin stories, which was surprising to me as well, because I don't know about anyone else, but when you're playing Warhammer or D&D or any of that, it always feels a little bit isolating, I guess, like you're one of a very small number.
You're
But then
the
to
only
find,
one.
Yeah, exactly. And then you find out that all of your friends have exactly the same story and have been living the same life. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
I do have one small nitpick with that. Nobody mentioned the TV show Nightmare, and I'm like, that is classic D&D. Why is nobody using that as their inspiration?
That is an excellent point. Yeah, that was very remiss of all of us.
As soon as I mentioned it, everyone goes, "Oh my god, I remember that. That was great."
Absolutely love Nightmare. It's amazing.
Have you introduced Marty to Nightmare?
I have not introduced Marty to Nightmare. This is why the reaction from Marty is like a blank look of what?
So
It must be available on YouTube, right?
I think it is. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
We talked about this before we recorded, where I was like, this is our first non-American podcast, I think.
Yeah.
That we're talking to, and I was like, it'd be really funny if the three of you just make like really niche like UK references, and I just go, yeah, I'm here too the whole time. How do you do, fellow Brits?
This is the time when I can get my revenge. So I can talk about Coronation Street. I can talk about Nightmare. I can talk about. I've just got all these English questions lined up, like what were you doing when Deirdre was arrested and all this sort of stuff. You just have no clue.
Biggest scandal of all time.
I think subconsciously I was kind of like, I think I'll let Vicky lead this episode a little more. Just something in my gut's telling me.
You mean you don't know where you were when Deirdre was arrested?
Come on now.
Everyone knows. What happened when you found out?
Justice for Deirdre.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know where I was when Diana died, but I don't think I was born yet.
Oh my god! Oh no! Amazing.
Oh no, just kidding. I was 2.
Oh well, I feel old. That's good.
Yeah, no, we're all old now. This is it.
That's been a common thing for me where I'm like, oh man, I'm like almost 30. I'm gonna be so old in this space. And it's like, no, actually,
No.
A young whippersnapper.
Yeah, apparently.
Very young for sure. Talking of the episode of how it all began, was there anything that you didn't include that when you sort of looked back on it and thought, oh, I should have mentioned that, maybe I could have mentioned that?
I mean, setting aside Nightmare.
Apart from Nightmare.
Yeah.
Let me do some Googling.
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think we were. The problem is, like, when the 5 of us all get together and we sit down and we start talking about a certain subject, everything basically comes out at some point. Because we all like the sound of our own voices, I think, when we're talking.
You've got to in this business.
Oh yeah.
Or at least I've got used to it. I thought I would absolutely hate it. The idea of kind of like being recorded and then listening back to myself, and I found it's actually fine. It's sort of like, oh, I see. Yeah, I think that was one of the things when Tom did his little recording of us. I think all of us were just like, oh no, we can't listen to ourselves. And then we had this little bit of like, well, actually, we quite like listening to ourselves. What does this say about us? And then we just went with it because it turned out to be fine.
Fantastic.
Was there any part of like the early recordings where you felt like there was some pressure to do more, or like was it a matter of being nervous on recording and not doing what you would normally do in like an unrecorded session?
No, not from my side, because we actually started recording in March before we released any episodes, and we'd just come fresh off of a campaign where the group got TPK'd, and people didn't really. Most of us don't have experience of recording ourselves or anything like that, so you sat down, you're on a Zoom call, you're in your room, and you don't really think about anyone listening. And so it just very much kind of all just comes out on the mic. And I would say the most nervous I've been doing anything is right now, this moment.
Oh no. Oh,
And you're
dear.
both lovely. You're both really nice and welcoming.
you.
So
Thank you.
We try our best. We've had,
Dear.
I think every guest so far has been like, "Oh my god, we're like gonna come on this show and they're gonna rip us apart."
Well, exactly.
It's like,
you're the Keith Lee of the TTRPG actual play space. You know, it's the
I mean, you're
review
already
could
doing
make
the
or break
hard
us.
part. Oh,
think-
no. I don't. I think as a show, it's more about sharing what actual plays are out there rather than reviewing them with an eye of criticism or not type thing. It's more of a, if this suits your vibe, this is the show to look for type thing.
and,
More of
and
a...
I'm just easily entertained. So
There's
like,
that as well, yeah.
something like, oh, this is, it's good. They make the dice say numbers.
The dice go click clack.
Yeah, I think in regards to your question about kind of changing things for the podcast, I think there were two things that helped to kind of prevent that from my point of view. Firstly, I assumed that no one would ever listen to it, so it wasn't really going to be a problem. But secondly, also, I think we were aware that when we sort of listened to our early recordings back, the stuff that was nice was it just felt like it was just like a bunch of friends messing around and having a nice time, and that was the kind of thing that sort of felt enjoyable about it. So I think we made a bit of a conscious effort to not change too much and think too much about it being a podcast and having to have all this kind of like mechanical stuff working really well, and just sort of lean in a little bit to the friends enjoying it part of that.
I can hear that the in-jokes between you, and like Peanut Gallery will always come in with something just to really sum up what's going on. And I really love when there's those little bits that pop in, and it's like, you know, quiet in the Peanut Gallery and type things.
Yeah, I do that in my normal games as well. It's not just exclusively for the podcast. So.
What does a typical recording session look like for you guys?
Well, we all get on the Zoom call at the same time every week, without fail. We get on in the exact same order as well. So it's me first,
Ooh.
then Dave,
Right.
then Charlie, then Harry, and then Alex last. Just
Amazing.
because that's how our lives work. And then we record until 11 o'clock.
Cool.
As with all these things, when you're releasing weekly, it's like there's a lot of pressure on you to kind of keep editing
Yeah.
and keep getting stuff out. But on actual recording nights, it's a lot more relaxing, I think. Dave, you can obviously correct me if I'm lying there.
No, that felt fairly true from my perspective. Yeah, it's just we get on, have a chat, mess about for a bit, try and remember what it was we were doing in the last episode, and then just kind of crack on with the adventure, don't we?
Cool.
So do you guys just do like one episode per session, or do you try to get like more than one done at a time?
We're very time poor, so it really is one episode per session. If I thought that we could rattle through enough good content in one night to get 2 episodes, I would definitely push to do that, because we always like to have a buffer of episodes that are already edited, ready to be released before. But we are, like right now, we are very close to recording what gets released in like 2 weeks later. So we might need to build in a few more. But yeah, for sure, it's just the one every week.
Getting that buffer is really the kind of the hard part sometimes, because you don't think about it when you first start a show until you start putting out episodes and you go, oh, we're burning through all our content like so fast.
Yeah. When we started, we had 10 episodes, I think, in the bank. And by
Right.
Christmas, we'd run down because people get ill, people's birthdays, family events, things like that. And we're just now basically limping until our summer holiday in July, where we can start building. Like, it's not actually going to be a holiday. We're going to keep recording and just build that buffer back up.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can imagine. So, next question. It's kind of like a few questions in one, but it's kind of like, what's your process on building either? Because obviously we've got Tom, the DM, and obviously we've got Dave. So it's what's your process on building like a character or an NPC? Like, where do you start? Like, is it like a personality or a background or anything else that takes that idea?
Dave, want to take that one? Where'd Benny come from?
Sure. Where did Benny come from?
Should we ask?
That's the question.
I'm regretting asking this now.
So I think I tend to start out with a class that I think it would be fun to play.
Yeah.
Something that I've not, usually something that I haven't played before, or at least for a while. Just kind of like keep it mixed up and different, so that you're kind of not just kind of doing the same thing over and over again, and you get to find out, you know, different spells and different skills that someone's got, and you can kind of think about it in that way. And then try to think about a character that kind of was aligned with the class that I'd chosen. Try and put in a little bit of interesting backstory, but also quite a lot of the stuff in the backstory, I've added things that like the character doesn't know, or that the DM can kind of pick up and run with or not, depending on what he chooses. Because I find it's always fun when I don't know what the DM is going to do with that information. And Tom's always got lots of ideas about what to do. So anything you kind of drop in, he grabs. Yeah, and you kind of know that at some point in the future he's going to use it against you in some creative way. Against you is unfair.
Shot.
I can see from your face.
I'm a fool. That is outrageous. I would never use
my
anything
gosh.
against you. I'm one of the team. That's what you got to remember.
Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, I think each of the different people in the team have got different approaches, haven't they? So so Charlie's interest really was just really interested in thinking about the character, and then kind of created we worked with you, didn't he, to kind of homebrew something that kind of fitted in his vision for the character in terms of matching it up with a class and alignment and stuff. And Harry knows all the rules, and so he's really interested in working out how he can kind of work within them in a really creative way. So he's always kind of find characters that kind of give him a bit of scope to do that, I think. And then, of course, one of our running jokes is that Alex has never played Dungeons and Dragons before, or any other TTRPG,
Nope.
and as a result, he's just he's just making up as he goes
Just
along.
there.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he definitely has played with us a lot. He just can't remember. Yeah, from an NPC point of view, as the DM, though, I just think of characters from TV shows or films that I like, and just, I don't know, gender swap them or change their accent slightly or mix a couple together, and then, then you have a pink-haired gnomish woman who talks a bit like Mrs. Doubtfire but is also a sociopath, and that's just a character that then is just in the world.
So in some of your guys' content, you've talked about like your starts into, TTRPGs. From like a standpoint of today, who or what are your like current influences? Like what are you looking at in terms of like what inspires you?
That's a very good question. A lot is the answer, the short answer to that. Like there's so much good actual play stuff out there, which, and this is going to sound terrible, but when we started, we had no idea the number of actual plays out there and the number of really high quality ones. And even now, we're still finding more. It's absolutely incredible.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. Same.
Well, I'm sure.
When
Yeah.
we started,
probably
I
for
was
the-
like,
it's
oh, there's
probably for the
a
better,
lot
isn't
out
it?
there, but like, surely we'll run out eventually, right?
Yeah.
No,
No,
we're
Sure,
never.
seriously.
We're not going to stop doing this show until we die.
exactly. But yeah, so
It's going to be me first, apparently. Judging by the ages.
but like in broader scopes, Matt Colville and his content on YouTube is always endlessly entertaining and informative. You got the Critical Role guys, Dimension 20 guys, Not Another D&D podcast, all of those. And then the other ones, like there's one called Pink Fauxhawk, which is a Shadowrun actual play, which is just phenomenally put together. Dark Dice is amazing. Force Majeure, which is based on a system that I used to play, which is Edge of the Empire, Star Wars style fantasy flight games, and that's amazing. So yeah, there's just so much. You just if you go looking for stuff, you will find so much good stuff in there, and the key is to
Yeah.
basically not rip people off. You don't like. We're very careful not to steal anything off other people because you want to be original and be entertaining in your own way without kind of taking stuff off other people. But it becomes really difficult when you look around and there's thousands of podcasts out there. It's like someone will have done something that you're thinking of doing, but just try and do it differently. I think. But you guys must know like all about that because you guys obviously running the Bard Rock network and whatnot. You must have loads of podcasts and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we have a table. We have like a list in our Google Drive of upwards of like 100 different shows that when we weren't like booking guests, we would roll a D100 for, and we're still adding stuff to that.
Yeah, and there seems to be new ones coming out every week as well. I don't know about you guys, but
I've been surprised actually by the amount of shows that like we've been covering that it came out just like last year.
Yes.
It's been, people have been talking that like, actual play podcasts are kind of on the decline. And it's like, well, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like more people are doing it now than ever.
Yeah.
Somebody did mention that like there was a period after like 2020 that a lot of podcasts that like started during the pandemic kind of just like fizzled, but it seems like there's a rise of that kind of content again, and it's kind of cool to see because this medium is just kind of fun to talk about and be in because like anybody can do it.
Yeah,
really.
We are the prime example of
that. Yes, with two of them now. Yeah, there's so many different stories that are available and histories and where people want to explore different things you can keep going forever really with them.
I'm not super familiar with loads of different systems, so I've found that listening to a couple of kind of different actual plays is quite a nice way to learn a bit more about how some of those different systems work and whether it might be interesting to kind of play those myself. So I listened to sort of a couple of Call of Cthulhu actual plays and just started listening to Blades in Paradise on the Bard Rock Network, which obviously is Blades in the Dark. So yeah, it's just a nice way to learn a bit more about some of the different systems that are out there and different rules and different things you can do with those worlds. Really, which is quite nice.
Yeah, awesome. I think everyone's got their own little spin on it as well. So even if you had the full system and the ethos and the lore, you're always going to put your own little spin on it because the dice are going to decide what happens anyway. So yeah,
very true.
That's the nice thing about a lot of systems too, where it's just like on the first page a lot of the time it's like, hey, this is your game now. If you don't like the rules, change them. Who cares?
Yeah, it's amazing. It really fills you with confidence when you're reading it as well. It's like, oh, okay. I don't have to read 600
Oh, the rules
pages.
actually don't matter? Okay, cool.
Throw it out. It's gone. Fantastic.
Hey folks, we just want to take a break from the action to let you know how you can support the show. As a part of Bard Rock Network, you can support us through a number of affiliate programs, where a portion of your order goes to support the network. Everyone loves dice, right? FanRoll Dice can make dice of all shapes and sizes, as well as accessories like trays, bags, and towers. Or maybe you want to take better campaign notes. Just check out Minva RPG and look at their assortment of campaign journals and tools. Finally, you can level up your game night with tea or coffee from Many Worlds Tavern. In addition to delicious tea and coffee, they have stickers, tokens for your favorite trading card games, and playmats. Qualifying orders even come with free dice. All of those affiliate links can be found in the show notes, and you just need to use the code BardRockCafe at checkout to save on your order.
Greetings and salutations, dear friends. Are you looking for a dystopian actual play? Maybe something with a little steampunk pizzazz. Listen to Blades in Paradise. Society collapsed, but our corporate overlords rebuilt it. In this Blades in the Dark actual play, you'll join the Express Service Parcel Network, or ESPN, as they seek to find out if paradise is really heaven on earth, or if there's something darker underneath the surface. Available now wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Going on to the actual podcast and the lore and the world that you're in, from listening to the podcast, it sounds like there's a huge history of Alestia, and obviously from learning that there was a previous campaign that you're also building upon, because obviously there's different characters and things that have been mentioned. Is the world collaboratively built? Is it all Tom, or is it some of Dave as well and other people? I know Harry comes in with some stuff that Tok knows at the beginning of each episode and things.
Yeah, he does. The world was originally conceived by me as a world to write a novel in, way back in
Right.
2005.
Wow.
And I came up
Yes.
with the idea when I was traveling around America with Dave and Alex, unbelievably.
Oh, I need to hear more about this.
No, you don't.
Okay, all right, fine.
And yes, I was always kind of toying with writing a book about it, and with writing you go in and out of doing it, and then when I played the first ever TTRPG set within the world, which was it was using the Genesis system. This was about 10 years ago. I thought, I'll just bring Alestia back, and then I can start fleshing the world out, and that'll be a good place for the others to adventure in and see what they discover. And so the world has kind of, from the origins of me creating it, has now been basically written by me and all of the different players who I've run games with over the years, including the guys on Dice Company, who have quite a lot of input. Like, they will just come up with characters, cities, histories, and things like that just kind of get weaved into the tapestry. So I'm more of a custodian now than a creator, I think, of the world.
I love that.
And Harry especially.
Custodian.
One of the quite interesting things about so you come up with that idea of, at the start of each chapter, each of the characters would introduce themselves and give themselves a fact. We were basically making up bits of history on the fly, which then become part of the canon, I suppose, for lack of a better word, and become part of the history of Alestia that then Tom has to kind of work into his overall fabric of what it's like. Just because someone's dropped something in when trying to make up a fact on the fly at the last minute.
Yeah, I think my favourite one actually is Harry, who in one adventure I just randomly created a robotic assistant for a wizard that they met called TikTok. And Harry liked the idea so much that he created Tok as a descendant of TikTok, and then created everything about automatons and how they're constructed and what they do. And he kind of came to me and said, "This is my new character." I thought, oh my word.
Gosh.
So
Wow.
yeah, so
Thank you
full
for this
credit
gift.
to him.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Love that.
It's always fun to get a player that's so like inspired by something, and it's like, here, I made this for you. It's like, oh, stop, my heart.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I looked at the book-sized notes he'd given me, and I thought, oh, can you just give me like the
Oh,
cliff
I have
notes
to
of it,
read
please?
this. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
But I think that's one of my... I was thinking about this today, actually. I think it's one of my favourite things about the podcast and the stuff we do in general is that, like, when you're doing creative stuff, it can often be quite sort of solo and isolating in a way, can't it? If you're sort of writing something, and you're kind of like, what am I doing with this? Am I ever going to show it to anyone? But having that kind of shared approach to creating stuff is, it's really nice. And like you say, when someone sort of chips in with something really cool, kind of can feel a bit like a gift, can't it?
Oh, Brillo. I like that. You can kind of bounce off each other as well. You can kind of go, like, oh, I've got an idea for this, and I know that you last time said this, but it'd be so great if this went this way. If you could invite any special guests, or group of guests, be they alive or dead, who would you like to invite?
I need to get the answer to this right.
You do.
They can also be a fictional character. If you would
Yes,
prefer.
fictional as well. If you like fictional, if you want, you've just opened it up now.
Open the floodgates.
We'll take about
I'm
6
gonna leave
different
this-
answers if you want.
Yeah, if you want to do like a top 5, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to leave this one to Tom because he's obviously sweating it.
Thanks, buddy. As
Just
always.
leave all the pauses in. Just leave this like dead air bit now while we're waiting.
Weird. It's so crazy. You have a disadvantage for the next 6 sessions.
Yeah. How did that happen?
It just happened, man. It's just how we rolled.
Then he fell off a cliff.
I would love to play at a table with Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Emily Axford, Abria
Oh, there's Mark.
Iyengar, and you two lovely people.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think I'd be too starstruck.
I know. I'd be like,
I mean, like, Tom
Hi,
from Dice
can
Company's
you-
here. I don't know if I can.
Oh, fantastic.
oh my goodness.
Oh my god, that would be the. I'm not sure I'd be able to run that game, to be honest, as a DM. I think I'd have
No.
to be a player. Let all the others who are be much better at DMing than me run it. I'll just sit there, just taking photos.
Instagram. I love that. That's a really good table of greats there. I don't know if I can include myself in there. But yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, that's going to be a massive table of really good characters and good people to roll
Yep.
dice with, I think.
We've got to make it happen. I don't know how, but in the next year,
One day.
that's going to happen.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I had the briefest connect with Abria Iyengar because she follows the Wayfaring Strangers Twitter account,
No.
but her Twitter is banned because.
Oh gosh.
But
Disaster.
yeah, still, Abria, if you're out there, we have a misconnection. I'd love for you to come on our show and talk to us about literally anything.
You should do it. They're both lovely.
Let's see if you have.
Well, we haven't
If
heard
there's-
of Dave yet. I think.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
can't
true.
get it. Let it get away
You
with
can't.
it.
You can't get away. No escape.
To add. We were talking recently. Tom was telling us how apparently Dame Judi Dench plays D&D with her grandchildren.
No way.
And apparently, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
well, this comes from Tom, so I mean, there's every chance it's completely untrue. But if true, I'm selecting Judi Dench for my
100%. Yeah.
ideal guest.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Solid choice there, I think. Definitely.
You could get all of the kind of the royal celebrities, not as in the royal family. You could get Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Dame Judi Dench, Dame Helen Mirren.
That's a crazy table.
So we're getting anyone who's got a knighthood or damehood,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah,
Right.
from theatre. Yeah.
That wouldn't be intimidating at all, would it?
No, everything's
No.
just a normal day.
Yeah, I can play dice with them there, yeah.
Can just be like, so this character requires an Australian accent or whatever it might be. And you'd be like, sorry, Sir Patrick, I'll take this one. I think
I've got it.
yeah. Let me
I'll
show you how
handle
it's done. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I wanted to note that was very helpful in my listen through was you guys have a lovely little recap episode somewhere after episode 20, I think 20 or 21. This is something that I think more shows need to do more often.
Yes, please.
Please.
Yeah, please. It's really helpful.
Well, we plan on doing
Insanely
more.
helpful.
So, for sure. it seemed like an obvious solution, especially as the early episodes of ours, the kind of sound quality is not quite as good as it gets, and there's and so you think you do want people to start at the beginning, but you don't want them to be put off if they don't like the sound of it, as opposed to later episodes.
Right.
So I drafted my sister in to do the voiceover for it, and yeah, I think we'll keep doing that as well. I think that's just helpful to listeners.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's only like 6
'Cause-
minutes, I think, so it's really it's a really nice, everything's all in one, encapsulated what happened, like all the cliff notes. Brilliant.
That reminds me, I need to take notes for doing this for one of my shows. Because, oh man. Yeah.
So are you going to interview
Uh,
yourself for one of your shows? That would be amazing.
We've done, we did one of my shows
We
on
did.
this show,
Yeah.
but we just brought one of my castmates in because it was just me, and the two of us are like the main like editors and producers essentially. Everybody else just kind of shows up and plays. So it was nice to be like, yeah, this is the show that we do, and this is how we do it.
Nice.
There was a running joke through one of the Discord conversations that we just have Marty playing all the different characters that Marty plays, and I'm just interviewing each one of them.
It's my like my thing that's either going to get me on Dimension 20 or institutionalized.
One of the two.
It's been codenamed it's been codenamed Into the Martyverse.
It's happening.
I have a decent number, like enough of a number and a varied number of characters where I can just play a full D&D party. So that like have appeared on podcasts and stuff. So my thought is I'll just like script out a whole D&D adventure and just record like 30 hours of content, and then at the end it's just one of my friends comes in and goes, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "Well, I've cloned myself 6 times and I'm playing D&D." And then my friend goes, "Dude, just write a book," and that's the joke.
That's it.
But I wasted months of my life recording and editing a 30-hour D&D adventure.
I really like that idea.
So watch out for that. That's probably coming in 2036.
I'll put it in the diary.
Yep, I'll add it in. It's just an off-the-cuff one, but I do like how the number one rule of TTRPGs, DMing, roll, whatever, is never split up the party, and yet every episode I listen to, the party is split.
It's true.
Dave, this is you.
It's not me.
I don't know. I
I'm
see
a
you
team
shaking your
player.
head there.
They're terrible at it. They always split up. I mean, in the latest
Yep.
one that we've just recorded, Charlie goes off on his own. Just leaves the party on his own. Like, effectively a low-level wizard. Just walking into a dangerous place alone.
That
Yeah,
ends
we might-
well usually, right? Like that's probably fine.
Yeah,
We
stuff
might
definitely
learn our
happens.
lesson though.
I mean, I don't see
One
how.
day, maybe not today.
That's the beauty of this party. They never do the things you expect. So if there's a D&D trope, they will fly in the face of it and just run away screaming. So yeah, and
Yeah, there's sorry, there's a long running joke, isn't there? Because in an early chapter, maybe 7 or something, we knock on a door, and a voice tells us to go away. And we just leave. We just well, we're obviously not wanted here.
So, okay.
We'll
Well, they
we'll be off. We'll be
they
off
told
somewhere
us
else.
to go away.
Yeah,
Everything's
I mean,
fine,
The guy told us
I
to go
guess.
away.
yeah. And so I just take 3 pages of notes about an NPC and just slide that back into the book to come back later.
Let's see if you have any advice for aspiring DMs or players or like showrunners, what would it be?
Don't do it.
That's what everyone
The sad
says.
thing is, you're not the first person that said this to us. Are we all okay? Like, what's no?
It's so much work. It's so much
It
work.
is.
And you, even at the beginning, when you're full of like the joy of it and the excitement of learning new things, even then it's a lot. I joke a little bit. It is one of the best things I think I've ever done. So if you have any interest in starting your own podcast, just throw yourself into it. Don't expect to be Matt Mercer on day one. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to, even over the course of 4 or 5 weeks, if you look back at your performance then as opposed to now, you're going to cringe at how bad it is, and that will continue as you go through, because the more you do it, the better you get. Yeah, 100% throw yourself into it. Find a group of friends or a group of people that you trust and see where it takes you, because you never know.
I don't know if I've got any advice. It feels like it's very easy for me because I'm not the one who edits the episodes. So sure, yeah, go for it. It's fine. I have lots of fun. I turn up on a Tuesday, chat to my friends for a few hours, and then get on with things. And then something goes on in the background. I don't really know what. And a podcast comes out, a week or so later. Ta-da! I recommend it.
It's so funny
lovely.
it's so funny to be able to tell like who edits the show and who's just there for the good time, because they're like the non-editors are like, I don't know, just do it. It's so much fun. And the editors are always like, for the love of God, don't bother. I haven't slept in 6 years. I have a constant IV drip of caffeine. Send help.
We've started to, we do a little kind of extra show for our Patreon, which is just kind of like a sort of a round table where we chat about the shows, and so the players have now started to edit those. So we're starting to understand a little bit of the pain that the DM feels. And it's a much more straightforward job, obviously, but you just start to get a sense of it at least.
And they're going to be very disappointed when I start giving them full episodes to edit, which is coming soon.
I know. Yeah, I've just convinced one of our cast to be the third person on the editing team for Wayfaring Strangers, and I got them set up with like the program and everything. They looked at it and went, "What is this?
What even is
like,
this?" Oh, I adore it.
Do as I did and figure it out.
Yeah, that's
really most of the process, is just trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be perfect, so just see what you can do and look up on YouTube anything you can't do.
It is quite amazing how much you've learned in a short space of time. It's really quite extraordinary, because you're not someone with any kind of audio experience, are you?
No.
And then sort of week 3, you're like, well, just have a look at your gain, and then we'll put a compressor effect on top of that and just chop this out and do this. And you're like, I don't know what any of these words mean, Tom. Just walk me through it.
Like, I haven't got time to talk you through it. Just figure it out or don't or whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to send you some notes. Do this.
Exactly.
It kind of jogged my memory that you said something that you say at the beginning of each episode that your friends, no feelings were harmed during this episode, and it's just that little bit that says, you are friends, you are going to swear at each other and things, but you are all friends at the end of the day. And it just sounds, it's almost like a little safety warning at the beginning of each episode, just to say, we are friends, we don't mean it, kind of thing. And I do enjoy that.
We specifically put that in because when we first handed out the first few episodes for like close friends to listen to get feedback, a lot of the feedback that I got was, do you even like these people, and do they like each other? They're so mean to each other all the time. I was like, oh, okay, better get ahead of that, because people who do know us think that. People who don't know us will definitely think that. So that's a hangover from that, I think.
Love it.
And we're actually surprisingly nice to one another off air, aren't we?
It's
one of the things that I've noticed about. One of the things that I've noticed about doing Dice Company is that actually, like, we are extremely rude to each other on a fairly constant basis while recording. But actually, like, it's really nice how at the end of the episode someone will be like, "Oh, that idea that you had was really cool," or when you did that little bit, it was really nice. It's not like us at all. I like it.
Say it on air next time so that everyone can hear it.
We've got it now. We've got it recorded.
We are British, after all. There'll be no complimenting one another in public.
No, don't do that in public. Oh no. Were there any standout parts that you said about, like, oh, that idea was great? are there any standout parts in the episodes that we've heard so far where you're thinking, that was amazing, I really want to, like, special, if I could capture that moment and keep it, that's what I'd do?
For me, Chapter 19's stagecoach escape was... I was basically almost a passenger to that, just watching them put this thing together in front of me. I was just like, okay, yeah, they're there, yeah, you can do that, oh yeah, go. And then just the speed and the accuracy and the kind of drama of it all. I was like, oh, this is wonderful. Why isn't it like this all the time? But obviously everything had built up to that point, which gives them the space then to create this piece of magic, really, and that's really what it felt like on the evening.
That was a really fun episode. I think it was partly because the stakes were really high in that episode, weren't they? And so we sort of knew that if we did our usual ridiculous messing about and going off at different tangents from one another, then there was going to be trouble. So we actually sort of pulled together and sketched out a rough plan before the chapter recorded, and it was really fun just to kind of execute that plan in session and kind of improvise around the kind of basic overall structure that we had. So I really enjoyed that. But I also quite enjoy the ones where there isn't a plan and things just go weird. Like there's I can't remember what the numbers of the chapters are, but the ones where we all take on ridiculous pseudonyms and try to travel undercover on a prototype steam train. We obviously didn't plan that, but it was quite good fun.
Yeah, that's chapters 8 and 9, which are set on the steam runner, where I developed this effectively a dungeon crawl, but on a train. So there's lots of things for them to explore before they get to the end of the train. And they just marched through the train, didn't stop or look at anything, just straight to the end. I was like, okay, we'll do that. And then they went, when they were coming out, they then started exploring and finding all the things that would have been useful to do the mission at the end of the train.
Yes. That's the way, unfortunately.
Always.
Yeah.
It's so fun for how similar yet different a lot of like D&D parties end up being, because it's always like that, right? Where it's like, oh, we gotta go and like blaze through something, and then you missed all the important stuff that would have made this 10 times easier. It's like you did it, but man, it would have been like no stakes if you just stopped for 5 seconds.
Disguises, weapons, parchments with important information. It would have been a breeze.
It's flying by the seat of the pants and the dice rolls.
That's why we do what we do.
I do like, there is one thing I was going to point out, that listening to the different APs that are out there, I don't know if you cut them, but there's not a lot of, what can I do with this spell and what does this spell do, and discussions that I assume happen in the table somewhere, and sort of kind of just check this rule with you kind of thing, but it does seem to be cut out, and I really enjoy that because it kind of just keeps the flow going and there's no pauses to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. We looked at the market of actual plays and tried to figure out what we could do that would be different to other ones, and a heavily edited episode is something that is not as common as just recording the session and hearing all of the table banter and stuff like that. And we work on the basis that the listeners have limited free time, and so we don't want to give them like a 3-hour episode every week, because I mean Critical Role do that. They're the biggest, and like I can't even keep up with that, and I like Critical Role. No. So that's not to say we won't change it as time goes on, but certainly at the beginning you want to give people something kind of shorter and as entertaining as you can make it, with no gaps or ers or ums or anything like that.
No, I do prefer that, because I do know the rules, I do know how to play D&D, and I think people kind of forget that other people, when you're listening for the story and you're listening for the players, and what's happening in the world. You're not listening for, okay, this rule says this, can I interpret it this way, kind of thing, and it kind of gets lost sometimes, or maybe it's just me listening. But yeah, I do like the succinct. I can tell it's been edited, because these questions always come up. But yeah, I do appreciate that for sure.
We found that quite a lot of our listeners are people who don't play D&D
No,
and
wow.
don't
Okay.
listen to actual plays, which was a real
Cool.
surprise.
Okay.
And that when they're on social media saying, "Oh, you know, someone said I don't listen to any podcasts, but I do listen to this one." It's like, well, that's very kind of
Oh.
you. I
Okay,
have
cool.
more questions, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna accept that you like what we put out, and I'm gonna say nothing else. But thank
like-
you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna jinx this.
No. Ours veers a bit more towards the kind of fiction, I suppose, audiobook side of things rather than the pure, these are just friends sitting at a table and they know that they're playing characters and that kind of stuff. I think everyone on the podcast thinks in terms of audiobooks and narratives and things like that, so kind of naturally drift in that direction.
And I think the other thing is that people ask, don't they? Like, it's not uncommon for someone on the sort of social media or Discord or whatever just to say like, "Oh, was that a thing that you homebrewed?" Or you know, when you did that thing, what was the rule that allowed you to do it, or should have disqualified you from doing it, kind of thing. If people are really interested, then they just sort of get in touch.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had many questions asking how certain things happened from a technical standpoint. I really want to go back with this really in-depth technical answer, but usually it's I made a mistake, or it would be more fun if that wasn't a rule. So there we go.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to, let the people know where you can be found?
Dave, over to you.
Why are you handing that to me? You're in charge.
No. We're a team.
Where can we be found, Tom?
I'm not asking
love
you to
this.
set me up.
Dice Company is available wherever you get your podcasts.
Ooh, you put on the voice and
Love it.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely the
Wonderful.
voice I recognise.
It's on all podcast platforms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your Spotify, your Apple Podcasts, your Podbean, across the board. Just search
Yeah.
for Dice Company. You're bound to find it.
All right. Well, I just want to say one more thank you to Tom and Dave from Dice Company for coming on and chatting with us this month. It's been an honor getting some friends from across the pond.
Thank you for having us.
Go and watch Nightmare.
I will go check out Nightmare. I found out it's I spelled it like the normal word and it came up as something else, and I was like, oh, this makes more sense. This is more British. That's gonna do it for us this month at College of Whispers. Today is May 1st, 2024.
It is.
Our next episode will be May 29th, where we are talking to the cast of Reckless Attack.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. And until next time, may your backlog grow ever shorter. Thanks for listening to College of Whispers. Our intro and outro song is Everything by Winter Wayfarer. Check them out on all major streaming platforms. You can find College of Whispers on social media at all the relevant places listed in the show notes. College of Whispers is a Bard Rock Network production. Learn more about the network in the show notes and on social media. Thank you for checking out our show. As a reminder, we're part of Bard Rock Network, who you can support by checking out our sponsor, Dragon Master Games. Support our local game store, get yourself some TTRPG essentials, and help the network produce some more excellent content. It really makes a difference. Our show and all the other shows on Bard Rock Network wouldn't be possible without the support of people like you on our Patreon and Ko-fi. That's why we like to thank supporters who pledge above a certain tier at the end of network productions. This month's top supporters are Sarah, Queen, Viralore, Khadijah, Marty, and Paul. Thank you all so much for supporting the network.
If you want to get shoutouts and other rewards, pledge on our Patreon or Ko-fi today. Links in the show notes.